We're not the first civilization on Earth to face a catastrophic wipeout. We're talking about almost extinction level events. They've happened quite often, the latest being the 13,000 year ago Clovis comet. Before that we had the Taupo super eruption 27,000 years ago, the dinosaur asteroid 66 million years ago. Now, human civilization as we currently know it will not survive much longer. In addition to the critical structural faults that mankind built into complex systems such as food, electricity, finance, politics, etc., they're rapidly deploying plans to deliberately take down systems, or perhaps these systems are very volatile. As we know, even a very strong solar flare could give us a power grid failure, which means that we wouldn't have electricity, we wouldn't have water, we wouldn't have communications, transportation, no gas. Now, what few modern people seem to recognize is that this is not the first time a human civilization has fallen on planet Earth. At least one former global civilization also collapsed, and nearly all the evidence of its existence had long been buried or destroyed. We know that this has happened to Atlantis, for example. You could take a look around and ask the question, do you see anything that would survive 1,000 years if humanity's human civilization collapsed today? No buildings would remain after 1,000 years, and nearly all the stuff that defines our society today would disappear, especially if it were buried underwater or mud flowing, for example, ash, volcanic ash, or an asteroid impact, or another great flood. The entire digital realm of human knowledge would vanish, as there are no man-made storage systems in existence today that can store information for 1,000 years. At one time we had very nice libraries. I don't even know if that's possible with all the information that's being put out today. Hard drives lose their integrity in about a decade, and even optical storage media degrades over a century or two. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box. So perhaps the only evidence that might remain from our current civilization would be concrete bridges and a layer of microplastics deposited around the world, leading future archaeologists to declare this collapsed civilization to have existed during the toxic epoch. The Great Pyramids of Egypt would survive, of course, as they have already demonstrated through at least one collapse that took place more than 10,000 years ago. Human civilization is far more fragile than most people recognize, and with anti-human globalists trying to photosynthesize the entire global food supply, it won't be long before problems accelerate. Now, there are some cultures that won't have problems. For example, perhaps the Amish, or people living off the grid in the Indonesian islands. Now, humanity will be lucky to emerge from this engineering global event with very few survivors, and that's still far higher than what the globalists are seeking to achieve. Now, as the primary subject of the situation update, which brings startling information about true history of humanity and why human civilization, as we know it today, is on the verge of collapse, that will end in that perhaps will end the human world as we know it. This is on Final Warning on Humans Are Free. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support.